War creates monsters. But in 1944, some soldiers swore they saw something worse. They swore the dead moved, and no one could explain how. A battlefield already soaked in fear, suddenly haunted by a question no one wanted to ask. What if the dead didn't stay dead? Not a myth whispered in the trenches, not a late-night hallucination born of exhaustion. This was something different, something that left seasoned officers speechless and forced military doctors to invent explanations that didn't convince anyone. This isn't a tale of fantasy. It's a theory built from classified testimonies, lost medical files, and one terrifying witness. A man the archives only refer to as Sergeant Hale. Hale wasn't known for superstition. He wasn't a storyteller or a man seeking attention. He was a disciplined infantry sergeant with an impeccable record, someone whose reports were usually dry, precise, and painfully literal. He never claimed he saw a zombie. He claimed he survived something that behaved like one. During World War II, a secret Nazi experiment sparked the first real zombie theory in military history. And like all wartime secrets, it didn't come from rumors. It came from evidence, scattered, censored, but undeniable. The theory is simple and horrifying. A rogue Nazi medical unit experimenting with neurotoxins so violent they could paralyze thought, erase fear, and trigger primal aggression in dying soldiers. These weren't battlefield drugs or stimulants. They were chemical weapons designed to hijack the human brain at the edge of death, forcing the body to keep fighting long after consciousness faded. Not resurrection, not magic, but a state so close to undead that witnesses didn't know what else to call it. According to scattered field reports, the experiments centered around a gas formula codenamed Nabelfaust, the Mist Fist. It wasn't designed for defense or intimidation. It was engineered for absolute submission, to create shock troops who would obey instinct alone. Incomplete records suggest it was meant to create unstoppable human weapons. Men who couldn't feel pain, didn't respond to commands, and sometimes didn't even respond when their bodies were failing. Soldiers described subjects who kept moving while severely burned. Others spoke of lab specimens that continued to twitch long after they should have collapsed. Sergeant Hale never saw the formula, but he saw the aftermath. In 1944, one battlefield incident convinced soldiers that the undead might be real. France, winter, 1944. Snow falling so thick it muted the distant artillery. Visibility reduced to a pale, ghostly haze. Hale's patrol wasn't expecting trouble, just a reconnaissance check on a route the Germans had abandoned hours earlier. Then they saw it. A column of German trucks, engines blown out, metal warped from inside pressure, canvas covers shredded like something had clawed its way through them. Hale's unit intercepted the burning convoy, German trucks torn open from the inside. What was left of the soldiers didn't look like they had been ambushed. They looked like they had ripped each other apart. No bullet patterns, no artillery signatures, just self-inflicted horror. Survivors, barely conscious, displayed severe neurological collapse. Eyes glazed, jaws clenched, limbs jerking like they were trying to stand even while dying. Some were biting down so hard their teeth snapped. Others clawed at the snow as if trying to drag themselves toward the Americans, despite having no strength left. Medical officers called it seizures. Hale disagreed, because one of them, bleeding out, lungs collapsing, still charged at the American medics with impossible strength. A dying man who should have been unconscious, suddenly sprinting on shattered legs. They shot him 3 times. He didn't stop. Only the 4th bullet dropped him. Even then, his fingers kept twitching, scraping the ice as if reaching for something only he could see. Hale wrote only 5 words in his report before higher command sealed it. He moved after he died. It wasn't poetic. It wasn't dramatic. It was the only thing Hale could put on paper without sounding insane. Some people believe the first zombie case was covered up by the military because of what happened in France. Within 48 hours, every file related to the incident vanished. The The survivors' statements were replaced with sanitized summaries, dozens of pages condensed into vague paragraphs about chemical exposure and hallucinations under stress. Officers who had handled the bodies were abruptly reassigned. A medic who tried to speak about the incident was declared mentally unfit and discharged, and Sergeant Hale was transferred to a remote intelligence unit without explanation. No commendation, no debrief, just removed from the front line and buried in paperwork for the remainder of the war. Historians believe the US and the Soviets seized the Nabalfaust research after the war, absorbing it into early bioweapons programs. Soviet archives mention a German neuroreactive gas tested in the late 1940s. American documents refer to behavior-disruptive agents, suspiciously similar to Nabalfaust. Nothing confirmed, everything implied. But one fact remains undeniable. Every soldier who witnessed the event died by 1951. Accidents, infections, sudden illnesses. Nothing conclusive, but nothing natural either. Except Hale. He disappeared from the record, and from his own family, as if someone needed the story to die with him. Some say he changed his name. Others claim he was absorbed into an intelligence program that never officially existed. But the truth? The truth is buried deeper than the files that vanished. Real zombies on the battlefield. This case remains unsolved, and it's the closest we've ever come to a real zombie. The files call it neurotoxic warfare. The soldiers called it something else. The Day the Dead refused to stay down. And maybe, with everything we still don't know, everything the archives still won't release, that's the closest we'll ever get to the truth.